a TVET institution or a university, and you want to advertise your intake? Book now and advertise with us today on both Lookuptv and all our digital platforms. Call us today on 011 0430 158, 011 0430 158, or email us on sales@lookuptv.co.ke.
Hey darling, are we still on for a coffee date?
I'm waiting for you to come and pick me up.
I should be able to pick you in a few.
It's a coffee yogurt date?
It's not just a yogurt, it's royal coffee yogurt.
Flow with the sweet taste of thick and smooth Royal Fresh coffee yogurt. Royal Fresh, the royal taste of freshness.
Hi, and welcome to Tujenge Home. Your number one show when it comes to all things architecture, real estate, property development, interior design. You get it right here on Tujenge Home. When the food is ready.
You want to serve them?
Dinner is served. Yeah. Let's go. Let's go.
Beautiful, wonderful, glorious. We are having the show that we share entitled Shepherd Voice.
I'm waiting for you to get me to Kenya. That's what I'm waiting
for you.
God is the source of every blessings that flow into your life.
And I know that God is going to bless you and to do a new thing.
Pray.
Well, thank you very much for staying with us. Apologies for the technical hitches that occurred a few moments ago. But in case you're joining us, you're just in time for the newspaper highlights this morning on the morning drift. Before the technical hitch, I was talking about the conversation that we'll be having this morning, which surrounds the law and the churches in Kenya. We do know that after whatever has been happening and continues to happen and continues to be, or to rather unravel in Magarini, Kilifi County. There's been the talk about regulation of churches and what does the law say. The president formed an inquiry commission, which the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga says is against the constitution. So our conversation this morning will be about churches and the law. But for now, we look at what is making headlines on the newspapers this morning. And I'd want us to start with the Daily Nation. And on the front page of the Daily Nation, we'll be having it on your screen in a moment. It's about KEMSA and the billions of money, and in a country where we are bedeviled by corruption. And they say KEMSA caught up in a new 4 billion scandal. 4 billion. I mean, we live in a country where corruption is the order of the day. And here they say, KEMSA has bungled a multi-million shilling tender for the supply of treated mosquito nets intended to help millions of low-income households prevent malaria, forcing the Global Fund to cancel the agency's procurement process that seemed flawed in favor of a bidder who did not meet mandatory requirements at the expense of an actual nets manufacturer. They say 23 counties to benefit from the project, which will now delay because of the setback. Year in, year out, week in, week out, we talk about corruption. And it being one of the country's biggest problem. To me, actually, corruption is our major problem. If we can be able to tackle corruption as a country, I believe that is when we can outrightly say we are taking steps to the right direction. But so long as we continue, and that particular story, by the way, is on page 7 of the Daily Nation. They say it's KEMSA in the eye of a fresh storm in 3.7 billion mosquito nets deal. They say 370 million is the amount of money that KEMSA should have received in revenue from the deal to manufacture mosquito nets. And 2%, that is the proportion of contract sum that the state agency stood to make in procurement fees at the deal gone through. It is not the first time that KEMSA is hitting the headlines on matters corruption. Remember what was then dubbed the KEMSA COVID billionaires. So this has been some sort of a cash cow for the corrupt individuals in this country. Do you know what the sad thing is? We'll talk about corruption. We'll talk about embezzlement of funds. Those who will have been found to be involved in this entire scandal will be taken to court. They'll appear 2-3 times. And we know what happens. After some time, the case disappears. That means those people who are supposed to benefit from these particular tender, and those low-income earning families are supposed to benefit from these mosquito nets, and of course help in the prevention of malaria, will have to suffer because of a few individuals who decided to be corrupt and engage in a flawed procurement process. And I think it's a high time. It's a high time we really put all our efforts, just as a country, the authorities that are responsible for this in fighting corruption, because this is a menace that continues to cause ripple effects in the country. Those who are supposed to benefit from such projects fail to do so because of individuals who've decided to go out of the regulations to ensure that they can be able to get something illegally out of these tenders. So that is a story on the headline of the Daily Nation. It talks about corruption inside KEMSA. And by the way, just so you know, the KEMSA COVID billionaires scandal is yet to be solved. So you can be the judge. It is. Remember when President Uhuru Kenyatta ordered investigations to be done and a report made, forwarded to him, and then we'll see on the next course of action. Nothing ever happened. Here, President Uhuru Kenyatta retired. Now we do have President Dr. William Ruto. There's a new scandal here. We'll wait and see what happens. But it is a very sad state of affairs, because now thousands or millions of children who are supposed to benefit from this particular project will have to suffer because of a few, what I'd say, for lack of a better term, greedy individuals. Now, as well, on the front page of the Daily Nation, they say church on trial. Remember, like I said, based on conversation this morning on the church and the law, they say church on trial. Church on trial. State starts clamp down on preachers. They say Kenya's cult leaders, advocates of religious extremism, fake prophets, and unscrupulous religious leaders were yesterday put on notice as religion was put on trial after two teams were sworn in to investigate their conduct and the regulatory framework. The teams, a commission of inquiry to unravel the circumstances that led to the Shakahola massacre, and another to identify gaps and propose legal and governance changes to extremism to prevent religious extremism, will start work immediately. We do know that there is a Pastor Paul Mackenzie of the Good News International Church, is the key suspect, the key mastermind behind the Shakahola massacre. Is being charged with indoctrination and allegedly convincing his followers to fast in the hope that, in the false pretense that they will die and meet with Jesus Christ. Now, where do we draw the line? What does the law state? There are 3 pastors mentioned here. Paul Mackenzie Nthege, that is of the Good News International Church. Remember, he's still behind bars. And today, the court will make a ruling. Remember, the prosecution wants to detain him for further 90 days to aid as investigations continue. So today, the court will be making a ruling on that particular case. There's as well Pastor Ezekiel Odero of the New Life Prayer Church in Mavueni, Kilifi County. Remember, it was released last week on Thursday on a cash bail of 1.5 million. And there's one more person here, Yesu Watongaren. You see, he's called Eliud Wekesa, by the way. I know most of you know him as the Yesu Watongaren. He's called Eliud Wekesa. The leader of the New Jerusalem sect was also summoned yesterday to be questioned about his church, where he has led members to believe that he is the real Jesus of the Bible. That we'll be really looking into in our conversation this morning. Just before I jump to the standard this morning, there's a particular story here on the right-hand side, right top side of the Daily Nation, a very sad story. It is a story that is covered on page 10, and they say, police bullet cut short life of a girl heading back to school. It says thousands of students are returned to their various schools for the second time yesterday. The family of a 19-year-old girl, that is Jacinta Achieng, was thrown into mourning. Achieng was killed by a stray police bullet yesterday morning while on a motorcycle as she went shopping for school supplies. Quite a very sad story. Story of a student who was, yearning to go back to school to try and ensure that, I believe, a Form 2 student, by the way, to ensure that, she can get a better future for herself. We all do have ambitions. That is where we go to educational or institutions to at least gain more knowledge. But now, Jacinta Achieng is no more, shot by a stray police bullet. That is what they say. And the police boss says that investigations have commenced, and those found culpable will be charged in a court of law. Whether this person will be charged or not, we cannot bring back the life of Jacinta Achieng. The family has been thrown into mourning. It's a very, very sad story. We do hope that, regardless, the officer, in question will be, after investigations are completed, will be, of course, arrested and arraigned in court to face charges that will be preferred against him. Now, on to the Standard. And on the front page of the Standard is the former head of state, His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, and the current head of state, Dr. William Samoei Ruto. And this is the story that I was talking about. He says, this is what Ruto said. This is my problem. This is what they've, dubbed it. This is my problem with Uhuru. The Standard have proceeded to refer to it as backstabber, like you can see on the screen. President, in a candid forward in the book For the Record, that is a book by Aden Barry Duale, like I said, opens up on where the rain started beating his relationship with the former president and why he thinks it all went south. And like I said, the president said he never knew that Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta, the former president, could turn around and stick a sharp knife on his back. That particular story is on page 4 and 5. We do know that President Uhuru Kenyatta, former President Uhuru Kenyatta, beg your pardon, and President Dr. William Ruto were long-time buddies from their days when they were both accused of engaging in the post-election violence in the 2007-2008 aftermath of the 2007 general elections. They both appeared in the ICC. The charges were dropped against them. They vied together in 2013, won the election, vied again together. They sought re-election in 2017, they won. But after then, there is this where they say the rain started beating the duo, from putting on matching outfits, ties, shirts, to not seeing eye to eye. Politics, they say. That particular book was written by Aden Duale, like I say, and you can get to read that book, understand, because Aden Duale talks about the dynamics of the Kenyan politics in that particular book. the good, the bad, and the ugly. Aden Bare himself says in that particular book, I've also witnessed the deceit, the betrayal, the subversive power games engineered by the deep state, and the cutthroat, blinding ambition. So this is a book that you wouldn't want to miss, and it's a 371-page book. When I say 371, I remember as well there's a book that was written by Saita Kanshori. Various people are giving their sentiments concerning the book, and if you at all a TWIP or you belong to the Kenyans own Twitter battalion, you do know what the general had to say about that particular book. But that is the top story on the Standard this morning. There's also the story of the Shakahola massacre. Yesterday, 21 more bodies were exhumed. And by the way, CS Interior, that is Kithure Kindiki, said there could be more graves. And he termed this as an organized crime. Like I said earlier on yesterday, Kithure Kindiki was in Shakahola, Magarini, Kilifi County to oversee the resumption of the exhumation exercise in that part of the country. So that is a story that continues to develop. We will be following up that story for you. Remember as well, we'll be using that story to shape up our conversation this morning because it revolves around matters religion. And yesterday as well, former CS for transport, that is Ambassador Michael Kamau, was in court for graft charges. And this is former Transport Secretary, Cabinet Secretary, that is Michael Kamau. He's now a free man after the charges. And the Director of Public Prosecutions, that is one Nordin Haji, withdrew the 33 million corruption case against the former CS. We do know that he's been a man on the limelight for some time owing to the corruption cases or the backlog of corruption cases behind his back, being the CS back then during the President Uhuru Kenyatta administration. So he's now a free man. But we've been seeing many political leaders, key government officials who had corruption cases. The cases were dropped, not only from ranging from CSs who were then nominated to various chairpersons of different boards, but I bet Ambassador Michael Kamau is now a happy man after his case was dropped. Looking back at going to the back page of the Standard this morning, we do know that yesterday the Champions League resumed and Manchester City were visitors at the Santiago Bernabeu in Madrid, Spain, and they drew 1-1 with a wonder goal from Vinicius Jr. and Kevin De Bruyne equalized in the 67th minute to ensure that City come back home for the second leg. That is next week with what I'd say an advantage, because in the second leg they'll be having the 12th man. Those are the fans. So today will be the Milan derby in the second semi-final, and they say Will Leao, that is Rafael Leao of AC Milan, and Lukaku shine for their sides in the Milan derby. At exactly 10 p.m. tonight, AC Milan will be taking on Inter Milan at the iconic San Siro Stadium in Italy. Both teams have been struggling for form in the Italian Serie A, especially AC Milan. Inter Milan had started picking up pace in the particular league fixtures. AC Milan are sixth on the log, the fifth rather on the log in the Italian Serie A, while Inter Milan are fourth. As well, Messi, of course, won 2 awards at the Loro Sports Awards. And of course, he won the Sportsman of the Year. Quite an interesting person here. World Sportswoman of the Year award went to Shelley-Ann Fraser-Price. Just so you know, Fraser-Price, they call her Pocket Rocket, is in the country for the Keitany Classic. She arrived yesterday, so you wouldn't want to miss, watching Shelley-Ann Fraser-Price at the Kasarani Stadium this Saturday for the Keitany Classic. She'll be battling for glory in the 100-meter race. Now, as well, the World Breakthrough of the Year award was for Carlos Alcaraz. The World Team of the Year award went to Argentina. Remember, Argentina made the headlines late last year, made some of us very, very happy football lovers, because Lionel Messi finally lifted the World Cup, the only trophy or accolade that was missing on his Trophy cabinet. As well, Christian Eriksen won the World Comeback of the Year award. World Sports Person of the Year with Disability award went to Catherine de Bruyne. The World Action Sports Person of the Year award went to Elaine Ju. And of course, the Sport for Good award was a Team Up, a program for children displaced by war in Barcelona, by Barcelona and Poland striker, that is Robert Lewandowski. Remember, Lionel Messi is facing a lot of issues at PSG. He was suspended for 2 weeks after going to Saudi Arabia without seeking the permission of the club. We'll be waiting to see, but because rumors have it that Lionel Messi might be on his way out of Paris Saint-Germain. So is their Brazilian star, Neymar dos Santos Jr. PSG fans are very, very funny, by the way. You know what they did? They went to the homes of Lionel Messi and Neymar dos Santos Jr. Two of their arguably best players, told them, no, you need to leave our club. You're not doing enough for our club. It's time to leave. But we're waiting to see what happens. As well, remember the Premier League title race and relegation battle continues to take shape after a 21-goal thriller in 3 games on Monday night. Now, we have 3 games remaining for some teams 4. Remember, Fulham won 5-3 against Leicester. Brighton lost 5-1 to Everton, and of course Nottingham Forest did win 4-3 against Southampton in the last fixture that was played on Monday night. That is all that we had for you this morning on the newspaper highlights. But remember, we will be having the big conversation this morning on matters at the church and what the law says. Is the president in order or not? Like the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga says, what needs to be done on the churches here in the country? So don't go away. We'll be taking a short break. I'll be back with the conversation this particular morning. Good morning.
We as Novena United Circle are a society that is able to provide a platform for business startups by providing financial aid to members and creating a platform to accumulate their savings. We look for small business entrepreneurs who are starting a business venture and provide the best opportunity to expand a business niche and turn it into something big. For more information, call us on 0768 757 956 or WhatsApp us on 0734 832 430. Novena United Circle. Tuungane pamoja.
Kiangazi imedhiri sana katika area hii yetu ya Laikipia. Mara mingi sana katika Laikipia kuna wafugaji na kuna wakulima. Hakuna yule ambaye amesaidika, hata wakulima pia wajasaidika. Na wafugaji pia wajasaidika. Lakini kwa siku ya leo tunasema kwamba Lotto Foundation imetusaidia sana kwa sababu inalisha jamii ambaye hawana nguvu ya kupata lishe mahali moja au nyingine.
Tumekuwa tunakaa hoi. Ukweli kabisa, mimi siamini. Hata mtu mwingine jinsi tumeleta hapo usiku alikuwa amesimia. Alikuwa na siku 3 hajaumwa kitu. Kwa hivyo tunashukuru sana Lotto. Leo watoto wengi ameshiba.
Nashukuru Mungu kwa Lotto Foundation siku ya leo, maana wamekuja at least manyumba 100 leo na 10 itaweza kunuka kitunguu jioni ya leo. Tulikuwa na njaa, si mchezo, ilikuwa na njaa, si ya ile ya kusema iko njaa.
Ya kwanza tumekuwa na watoto ambao wameshikwa na hata watu wazima na utapia mlo, na pia tukiangalia hii ni area ambayo imejaa watu ambao wana rely na mifugo, na mifugo mingi imeweza kuisha kwa sababu ya kiangazi, na tunashukuru sana The Lotto Foundation kwa msaada wao ambao wameweza. Asanteni sana.
Every time you play Lotto, 25% goes to the Lotto Foundation, which supports our fellow Kenyans through various causes. Thank you for your help. Together, we are changing lives.
you a junior secondary school, a college, a TVET institution or a university and you want to advertise your intake? Book now and advertise with us today on both Lookuptv and all our digital platforms. Call us today on 011 0430 158, 011 0430 158 or email us on sales@lookuptv.co.ke.
Hi, and welcome to Tujenge Home. Your number one show when it comes to all things architecture, real estate, property development, interior design. You get it right here on Tujenge Home.
When the food is ready.
You want to serve them?
Dinner is served.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's go.
Karibu mtazamaji kwenye kipindi cha jamii na itikadi.
Kaini kitako tuna mengi.
Mapenzi yanapoanza watu huitana bebi na majina mengine matamu, lakini baadaye penzi linapogeuka na kuwa shubiri,
mtu anafikia kwenda kumtafuta mke mwingine.
Itakuwaje?
Yule wa kwake nyumbani labda hajamridhisha.
Ni sawa ama vipi Maliki?
Dadangu, wanaume ni kama maembe.
Huyu ni mwanamume atakuja abadiliki.
Mwanaume mwenye wanawake wengi hata katika uchumba, kwenye ndoa ataendelea. Mtu na tabia yake hawachi. Ile umbo la kike likishaanza, kila kitu kishaanza kuwa mahali pake.
Ningependa kukuona.
Sijaenda mahali ambapo mimi nilisikia mtu ati huyu alikuwa shujaa, alikufa katika mstari wa mbele wa ndoa. Sijawahi sikia mimi.
Why Malindi? Any idea why the A-list celebrities, politicians choose Malindi as a destination? Is it the sandy, spotless white beaches, the rhythmic, relaxing oceanic waves, or is it the great potential investment opportunity that Malindi has to offer? Dark Balance, we are here with a variety of projects from as low as 99,000 shillings. You get an eighth of an acre with ready title deeds. Book your plot today with only 35,000 shillings and get a free return air ticket. Be the next investor in Malindi with Dark Balance. Call us now on 0740 888 111 or 0740 888 222. Dark Balance. We promise, we deliver. Why wait? Twende Malindi.
It's all about trying out fresh meals. As you know, your health comes first. Experience a tasty and sweet aroma in your kitchen today. It's not just about cooking, but also having fun, interesting conversations, keeping it professional, and not forgetting refreshing moments.
Oh, let me tell you, mine is gonna be
The Cook-Off with Alex Karani, Saturdays at 6 p.m.
Beautiful, wonderful, glorious. We are having the show that we share entitled Shepherd Voice.
I'm waiting for you to get me to Kenya. That's what I'm waiting
for you.
God is the source of every blessings that flow into your life.
And I know that God is going to bless you and to do a new thing.
Pray. Pray.
Well, yet again, a very good morning to you. And in case you're joining us, remember you can watch us live across all our social media platforms at Lookuptv on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and as well as YouTube. Now, let's go through some of the news making headlines this morning. And as schools reopen for the second term, a section of parents are saying facilitating their children for school has become an uphill task orchestrated by the high cost of living. Transport has been hiked, making it difficult for the parents to send their kids to school. Let's have a look at that particular story.
9th of May 2023. It's yet another term for learners across the country. The students who are on a 2-week holiday began their 14-week second term on Monday. The term comes amidst parents' heightened concerns over the high cost of living in the country.
The life difficult, especially in terms of paying fees for this time. A worker in this country now is going to have it rough. Currently, if you're earning 100,000 shillings, take home it's going to be 48.
Transportation to various learning institutions was crippled by a number of issues, including hiked transport cost. As for school fees, might prove an uphill task for parents to pay up school fees for their children.
As a person who is not working, I am telling you it's very difficult to take a child to school now. We are worried that at the end of the day, watoto wenye watakuja kwa shule kama hizi, if you have to have it a boarding school, then that will be for the rich people.
CBC ina mahitaji mengi. Kwa hivyo tunaomba wazazi wasichoke, watupe mahitaji ya watoto wao mapema.
At St. Mary's Girls Primary School, Kibabii, the turnout stood at 80%, with the school head teacher urging parents to bring the students to join the rest who have already commenced learning.
Wale ambao hawajaleta watoto wao shuleni wajue kwamba shule zimefunguliwa leo, kesho watoto waje shuleni. Kwa sababu sisi masomo ilianza leo asubuhi, tunaendelea.
The second term comes amidst calls by the Education CS Ezekiel Machogu for regular inspection of water used for drinking and cooking in all institutions across the country. The students will next break for holiday in August 11th. Cecilia Lubanga, Lookuptv.
Now, on to matters religion, and Interior Cabinet Secretary Keitany Kindiki on Tuesday led a team of homicide detectives and recommencing an exhumation exercise marking 20 more graves in the 800-acre vast Shakahola forest. Kindiki told the media that exhumation exercise might take longer than expected, revealing that the killings were highly level organized crime.
The rescue operations in the Shakahola forest resumed today after a disruption last week following the heavy rains that rendered the exercise impossible.
I'm here today purposely to oversee the resumption of the exhumation, which was ordered by court. And I would like to say that by the time we suspended this exercise because of weather, we had about 109 bodies. By evening, it was 110.
Interior CS Keitany Kindiki arrived in Malindi Tuesday morning to lead the exercise, now entering the second phase, with 2 people being evacuated from the Shakahola forest.
And I would like to confirm that until this hour, we have rescued a total of 65 persons, including 2 that were rescued this morning, and the search and rescue mission is ongoing as we speak.
CS Kindiki noting that the investigation is now headed to hunting down the accomplices of the controversial pastor Paul Mackenzie. The CS issued a stern warning to anyone unauthorized trying to gain access into the Shakahola forest, terming it a crime scene.
The same area, the entire Chakama Ranch, is also an active security operation area. It is also a scene of crime.
And due to the expansive nature of the Shakahola Forest Chakama Ranch, CS Kindiki stated that the work had just begun.
I am afraid that we have many more graves in this forest. And therefore, it leads us to conclude that this was a highly organized crime, and I want to assure the country that the government of Kenya will do whatever it takes to unravel this organized criminal activity.
Last week, journalists had been barred by the government from accessing the area. Today, CS Kindiki has issued new measures allowing journalists into the area.
Our representatives of the media is able to spend the day with the teams there and come back during the briefings as one of your own who can attest to what is provided for the public.
Audrey Cherotich, Lookuptv.
Thank you very much, Audrey Cherotich, for that particular story. And the Azimio La Umoja Coalition, led by Raila Odinga, has, of course, headed to the High Court to sue President William Ruto over his decision to appoint a commission of inquiry into the Shakahola massacre. And as Shadrach Kareria now reports, the Azimio Coalition has accused President Ruto of undermining the powers of the National Assembly, which is allowed by the Constitution to form the said commission of inquiry.
Opinion differences surrounding the Shakahola massacre, so the Azimio and Kenya coalition, led by Raila Odinga, filed a lawsuit against President William Ruto at the High Court. Odinga accused Ruto of undermining the powers of the parliament, which is the only body mandated by the Constitution to form the commission of inquiry. The Azimio coalition accuses President William Ruto of 12 instances, including undermining judiciary by appointing Lady Justice Jessie Lesit as the chair of the commission, usurping of the powers and undermining the authority of the judiciary, usurping of the powers and undermining the authority of the National Intelligence Service, usurping of the powers and undermining the Independent Police Oversight Authority, usurping of the powers and undermining the authority of Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, usurping of the powers and undermining the authority of the Commission of Administration of Justice, and usurping of the powers and undermining the authority of the Senate. Commission of the Commission of Inquiry into Shakahola tragedy declared to have undermined the authority of the judiciary. The Azimio also warned the court to declare the Commission of the Inquiry Act 1962, which was revised in 2010, unconstitutional, null and void. This comes as the Azimio 2 days ultimatum to the Kenya Kwanza to prepare for the bipartisan talks come to an end, with Raila Odinga expected to declare his next course of action on Wednesday.
They don't have a quorum to begin the discussions and so on. We have given them today and tomorrow. We have said that the talks must start in earnest on Wednesday. And if their delegation is not ready by Wednesday, we will treat that gentleman's agreement as cancelled. And we will then now explore other options available to us.
Shadrach Kareria, Lookuptv.
On to matters corruption, and former CITAM Church presiding bishop, that is David Oginde, was yesterday sworn in as the new Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission chairperson. Oginde's swearing in at the Supreme Court on Tuesday was presided over by Chief Justice Martha Koome. In his speech, or rather in his acceptance speech, Oginde said he was alive to the fact that corruption remains a significant threat to the country.
I, Dr. David Adang Oginde, having been appointed chairperson of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission.
Before the Chief Justice Martha Koome, immediate former presiding Bishop of Christ is the Answer Ministry CITAM Dr. David Oginde took oath of office as the chairman of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission EACC.
Do swear that I will at all times obey, respect and uphold the Constitution of Kenya.
An oath that officially marks the beginning of a 6-year term at the helm of EACC, taking over from retired Archbishop Eliud Wabukala. Dr. Oginde promising the nation his unrivaled desire to steer the anti-corruption body in the fierce fight against the vice in the country.
I stand before you today to make a commitment to selflessly serve the country as the chairperson of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission.
Oginde has his work well spelled out. He is taking over an office whose leadership is such a Caesarean task. Previous bosses have cited frustration in the discharge of their duties, some blaming lack of political goodwill in the fight against corruption. Dr. Oginde is firmly aware of this and has called for support from all quarters to drive concerted efforts to eliminate the menace that is deeply rooted in the country.
The EACC that you are going to provide leadership to is intended to be a good governance enhancing institution. Thus, Kenyans expect you to work towards the realization of the goal of strengthening our constitutional democracy through robust investigations and enforcement of the laws that are all enacted to combat graft in our country.
I want to assure the country of my personal commitment to provide leadership in the formulation of effective anti-corruption strategies and promotion of ethics, integrity, and good governance through working closely with the actors in the justice sector, collaboration with state and non-state organs, involvement of citizens in the promotion of ethics and the fight against corruption.
As he embarks on that ambitious process, Dr. Oginde has a special message for Kenyans.
I do recognize the high expectations placed on the Commission in curbing corruption and the promotion of good governance, ethics, and integrity. I believe that as a Commission, we are entrusted with a great task, and with God's guidance, the right working environment, and collaborative efforts, we envision an integrity-driven Kenya that will grow into a first world country.
All eyes are now firmly on the man who has taken over the hot seat to see how he will navigate the murky field of corruption and instill good morals in the country that is loudly begging for it. Henry Tende, Lookuptv.
Well, like I was saying during the newspaper highlights, matters corruption need to be taken seriously. And now that the former presiding bishop of the Crisis, the Answer Ministries, that is CITAM here in the capital Nairobi, Bishop David Oginde, has been sworn in as the chairperson of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, we do hope, like he has said, we can be able to tackle matters corruption and put it behind our backs. If we can be able to do that, be rest assured as a country, we will be moving in the right direction. Now, like I also said during the opening bit of this particular show, our sister station here at KM Lookup Media, that is Muthingi TV, are today launching their breakfast show, or better still, if you'd like it, the morning show. And like I said, it is dubbed Igagorero. Maybe you're wondering why I'm pronouncing it that well. Maybe I'm fast learner. Let me just, validate myself for a moment. But that particular show, like I said, will be coming to you each and every day of the week from 7 to 9:45 in the morning. Just like the Morning Drift, they will be dealing with matters making headlines across the country, from politics to health, to religion, to style. Fashion and style, to be specific, to sports. All round. Be sure to join Muthingi TV if at all you are a fan of the local dialect, Kikuyu, to get to understand better and know what is happening across the country. So let us listen in and get to see what is happening over the other side of Muthingi TV.
Turi memerekagia muno tafarira cito imwe kwa imwe kuma guko mucii munene wa Nairobi mwena wa Lavington, na we karibu sana gukorwo gitwarana na ithui. Gurikania ro ringi ninge mwiroreri witu twina our sister TV Lookuptv, njorua cia umemerekia na ruthiomi rwa githungu na githweri, nao makihotanirie wega onao na tafarira mwaki Mugikuyu augaga ungienda guthie thafari na ihenya thie uri wiki no ungienda guthie haraihu etha mundu mutirithanie na nigetha uthie kuraihu ku urenda nikio tunyitanire hamwe na Lookuptv aria mamemerekagia na ruthiomi rwa Githungu na Githweri anigetha tuko tugigutwara thabari ndaya ngagucokeria ngatho muno onawe nigukutwihokera wega na nituko tukinyitanira ikereka riri ria kuruguria ndarora mwena wakwa wa umotho nindirona twina keki thaka muno makiria ihaririirio neno tugitinangia keki no tugukorwo tukiria cama watafarira iria ithuĩ tukuharĩrĩirie na nigetha tugukorwo tugigucamia ningĩ oho no ngukorwo na ihinda rĩa gukuonithania amwe na arĩa njorua cia umemerekia kuma guku ceceni-inĩ ya Muthingi na ndakwĩra muthenya wa ũmũthĩ arĩ tarĩki 10 nĩrĩo turaruguria na ningĩ tukorwo na wathi mwerũ karibuni sana tutume ndũgũ tutwarane ĩmwe kwa ĩmwe na tukoragwo na inyuĩ maita maingĩ ngamunyita ũgeni oro rĩngĩ njĩtagwo Muthoni wa Wambũgũ na muthenya wa ũmũthĩ tukiruguria twĩna tabarĩra iria tukuharĩrĩirie koguo na gĩtĩo kĩnene na nindirona keki ira tuhaririyo muno nigukorwo ngita kana nginyita ugeni aria tugwiko tugitinia nao keki no ndingimitinia ndi wiki ingienda tukorwo tukinyitanira nao na nigetha tugikorwo tukirenga keki ino tucame cama watafarira citiganite nigukorwo nginyitanira na Mark nyitanire na Job roho nyitanire na Waitherero aria ni amwe mara represent amemerekia thiini wa sesheni ino na manake najua niko katika runinga ya Lookuptv nimesema ukitaka kwenda safari mrefu enda tafuta mtu mmoja ama wawili mwende pamoja lakini iwapo unataka kwenda haraka basi utaenda peke yako na ndipo maana sisi tumeshikana pamoja na runinga yetu sister yetu Lookuptv ili tukue tunashirikiana kwa sababu yako wewe tu mpenzi mtazamaji kwa hivyo karibu sana na nimesema wao ni gwinji katika utangazaji bora huko nchini na nje ya nchi koguo na gitio kinene muno ndirona mesheba ndimanyite karibu sana Mark ukogoka uko nawe Waitherero ukoro nawe Job karibuni sana aya mara represent aria makimemerekagia guku kwa Muthingi TV twinandikia mohoro gonjorua muno makiria oroho na amemerekia matiganite tukwanjiriria nawe Mark ugikimeria uria wikaga na ni njui ni wagikiona maundu uria mahana
muthenya wa ira na kana muthenya wa ira tiriha na makiria ngitiriha mohoro ndirereire mwiroreri wa Muthingi TV na ndakwirira ati guku mwogo ni mama na ningwiraga kaingi na kaingi riria toto kwaraniria ni ati hindi ria muciari akorwo giciara mwana gikeno kia muciari ucio ni kuona mwana ucio ni arikia kuonga gakiambia gukuruma arikia gukuruma gakiambia gwikatia arikia
akohona pe kanyite no ngonyite umutheke ngonyitire
ndugatirire gikeno kinene kia muciari kana ke tugithondekerwo mitambo hau uguo hanini tukimenya maundu meuko mahana ate no otogwo mwiroreri arakiona ni ati maundu guko ni manene maundu tukiugaga ni ndutha na koguo tugacokia ngatho na hau twagikinya ni ati riu giki ni giathi kiru twakorwo tukianjiriria muthenya wa umuthi na otogwo ndakorwo ngikwira mwiroreri ni ati ni gikeno kia muciari o wothe kuona hindi ria aciara mwana ucio ni arikia kuonga mwana ucio ni ambia gukuruma arikia gukuruma ni akirugama ni gukionania ati riu no hote gwitwara Muthingi TV riu ni rikitie guciarwo na yarikia guciarwo ni rikitie kuonga na gukuruma na riu ni rugamitie kionereria kiega ati muthenya wa umuthi tukiruguria tabarira njeru ni rietagwo morning breakfast show ni gukuonia ati turita Muthingi TV ni tugeretie uria wothe tungihota gutigirira ati we wihawuri na makiria mugikuyu kaunti ciothe 10 na makiria gitaro kia Mount Kenya kuria mugambo uyu witu rakiriwika ni twakurora na njira iria yagereire kuona ati mundu gwitwo Muthoni ni tukuga ruwi ni rurite hanini no na ithu nikio twagiuka nikio twitagwo kihumo gia gutherema tucokie ruwi mukaro maundu makorwo me sawa muthenya wa Monday nginyagia muthenya wa Friday kana ni muthenya wa Tuesday nginyagia muthenya wa Saturday gikoragwo meiri-ini ya mohoro ngikurureria maria maragithi na mbere na gukunuka na makiria kaunti ciothe 47 twagitungana nawe ngwiraga Wanjita Kariuki wa andu ati ni gukorwo gitika ni tabarira njiru twakiambiriria muthenya wa umuthi karibu sana mundu gwitwo Muthoni
asante sana ngagicokia ngatho kunyitirira no nigetha nake Waitherero akorwo akiyuga na uge arirehaga tabarira iriku na oho akiyuge maritwa
no kende murege hanini muthenya wa Monday no kuri hagira tafarira etagwo kurunga igire ari rutikaraga nawe na mutuga kurehera ageni oro hamwe na ateti matiganite tugakiaraniria tugakimenya mwerekera wa bururi ukorwo hana atia na mwerekera wa gitaro giki kia Mount.
Okay, asante sana. Tuguthioro na ihenya ni ndo wa matha na ngumuhyo kanya kanini Terry maritwa maku na tafarira.
Nyabririe na kugeithia mwiroreri wa Muthingi TV rucine rwa muthenya wa omothe ni mwihoko wakwa ati ni ukiabririe muthenya waku oro wega na tori urakiona ni ati maundu ni mega na ni mathaka muno makiri na twina gikeno muno ithi turita Look Up Media ni ukoro muthenya wa omothe turabririe tafarira njeru iritagwo igaguriro kwiragwo ungiukira uria wabririe muthenya waku nigo auditor mainaga muthenya waku gutukatia wabririe na kuria breakfast na kuhona ona hwaini urikinya ni territory yako ni waitherero wa Njoroge tukoragwo kana ngoragwo ngiguthomera mohoro muthenya wa Monday na muthenya wa Friday na ni bikoragwo ngigurehera tafarira etagwo murimi muramati tugathie mugunda na kutuone kiria tungiona mwena ucio tibia wega na mundu gitwo muthoni congratulations
thank you so much asante sana thengio muno tukirikiria
thank you
mbere maritwa
wabire nyambe ngikunyite ugeni goko kwa Muthingi TV
thank you
na otoria we mwiroreri urakena goko kwa Muthingi TV tukaikunyita ugeni na njira ya mwanya muno ni tondu ngikwira goko no kwa kihumo ya gutherema na tukinyitanira muthenya umuthi kana rucini rwa umuthi tugikurehera tafarira mwaki ngikwira goko no kwa Muthingi TV kihumo gya gutherema tafarira irigitagwo igagurira tukiri na nyarari ari gikora guthondekete maundu mega fioni wa kijita mwangi wa murugi ngigikoragwo ngigurehera mohoro o muthenya wa kiumia oro ndumwe nao wa gatatu oro ndumwe na rimwe ningioka na ngobia ingigakita captain hau ni metameta-ini cia mathako na tondu na mumala matigitagira muthamaki ri muthoni
yes
karibu sana
thank you so much tutikore aria maregu macio ni mamwe ma mothio maria uricemanagia namo na tunashukuru sana thank you so much ndakwiroro ringi na ni turi na sister TV mwena uria ungina niyo igitagwo Lookuptv njorua cia umemerekia na ruthiomi rwa githungu oro hamwe na gikuni njitagwo muthoni wa mbugu kuhana gitio tuko tukirenganga keki na ninjwe ni tugugithie na mbere na kumiria na gwa kahinda gaka tukirenga keki ni muguteithania hamwe na waitherero tugiteithanie amu ne tuhaririirie tafarira ino ya igaguriro na nindiramenya twina ageni mwaki rucini rwa umuthi ni ndona ageni itona ni marikitie gukoma gikinya thiini wa studio na nguririkania ro ringi turiambagiriria thaa 1 cia rucini kinyagia thaa 4 na kumanagia na hau tukarumiriria tafarira mwaki oro ringi njitagwo muthoni wa mbugu njitikiria na gitio kinene thiini na mbere na kurenga samoyo mko karibu sana feel free na no wega ngorwo ngicokia gatho o tugithiaga na mbere na gukorwo tukirenga keki ino ndona ni warenga kameje kameje ni wakarenga perfect na keki ino tuthondekeirwo ni njorua cia urugi wa keki moikaine ta Bev's and Bakeries Bev and Baker House Bev's Baker House njorua cia urugi wa keki kuma mwena wa South C South B acio niyo mahunjikite na njira nene hari kuruga keki tugacokia ngatho muno tukite ni undu waku we mwiroreri witu angikowe no ndu wikaga macio mothe araniria na ithuĩ nituko tukira social media handles citu tukirengaga keki o ni cama wa tafarira iria turi kurehagira mwaki mukurumania twina producer witu Benjamin o hamwe na aria maragiteithaniria na no wega njoe kanyaga katondu ndiramenyithio nitugukorwo tugithimwe na wa studio B kuria tugukorwo tugigithie na mbere na tafarira igaguriro no haha tukirengaga keki ino nyambe njokie ngatho kuri board of directors ni gutuhe kanya gaka tukorwo tukimemerekia na gukinyira we mwiroreri witu koguo haria hothe muri amukirani ngatho citu kuma ngoro geti na ningi management itu tutongoretio ni Josiah oro hamwe na Liz Kivuva tugacokia ngatho cia mwanya muno ni gutwihokera kanya gaka tukona tafarira igaguriro na tafarira.
Thank you muno muthoni wa Bogo. Like she said, the show will be coming to you imwe kwa imwe every Monday to Friday at exactly 7 to 9:45 a.m. in the morning. But you can continue watching that particular show on Muthingi TV across all social media platforms. But for now, here on the Morning Drift, we take a short breather. We'll be back with the conversation on churches in the country and matters law. Don't go away.
Why Malindi? Any idea why the A-list celebrities, politicians choose Malindi as a destination? Is it the sandy, spotless white beaches, the rhythmic, relaxing oceanic waves, or is it the great potential investment opportunity that Malindi has to offer? Dagbalans, we are here with a variety of projects from as low as 99,000 shillings. You get an eighth of an acre with ready title deeds. Book your plot today with only 35,000 shillings and get a free return air ticket. Be the next investor in Malindi with Dagbalans. Call us now on 0740 888 111 or 0740 888 222. Dagbalans. We promise, we deliver. Why wait? Twende Malindi.
Karibu mtazamaji kwenye kipindi cha jamii na itikadi.
Kaini kitako tuna mengi.
Mapenzi yanapoanza watu huitana bebi na majina mengine matamu, lakini baadaye penzi linapogeuka na kuwa shubiri,
mtu anafikia kwenda kumtafuta mke mwingine.
Itakuwaje?
Yule wa kwake nyumbani labda hajamridhisha.
Ni sawa ama vipi Maliki?
Dadangu, wanaume ni kama maembe.
Huyu ni mwanamume atakuja abadiliki.
Mwanaume mwenye wanawake wengi hata katika uchumba, kwenye ndoa ataendelea. Mtu na tabia yake hawachi. Ile umbo la kike likishaanza, kila kitu kishaanza kuwa mahali pake.
Ningependa kukuona.
Sijaenda mahali ambapo mimi nilisikia mtu ati huyu alikuwa shujaa, alikufa katika mstari wa mbele wa ndoa. Sijawahi sikia mimi.
Sensei Institute of Technology is the home to the best practical courses, giving you a hands-on experience to handle the world. A place to build your skill and see the world in a different. For you to join us, ensure you have your national ID card and be ready to enjoy the ride. Sensei College, my skills, my future.
Hi, and welcome to Tujenge Home. Your #1 show when it comes to all things architecture, real estate, property development, interior design. You get it right here on Tujenge Home. When the food is ready.
You want to serve them?
Dinner is served. Let's go. Let's go.
Beautiful, wonderful, glorious. We are having the show that we share entitled Shepherd Voice.
I'm waiting for you to get me to Kenya. That's what I'm waiting
for you.
God is the source of every blessings that flow into your life.
And I know that God is going to bless you and to do a new thing.
Pray. Pray.
It's all about trying out fresh meals. As you know, your health comes first. Experience a tasty and sweet aroma in your kitchen today. It's not just about cooking, but also having fun, interesting conversations, keeping it professional, and not forgetting refreshing moments.
Oh, let me tell you, mine is gonna be
The Cook-Off with Alex Karani, Saturdays at 6 p.m.
usiwahi cheza na mboga yangu. Na unafuata nani? Usisikuone ukinifuata. Nimekwambia una shares kwa hii kuku.
Look, man. Hebu kwanza rudi ndani ufresh hiyo choo na make sure umespray.
Juli, kwani wewe hii tumbo yako mimi najua inaweza ingiza kila kitu. Hata chuma nikishiaga nikupea hata plastic najua utakula. Kwani leo kunaendaje? Kuna kitu sielewi.
Kabisa Mluya. Yaani umeamua kulala uchi.
Sasa kama hakuna ile nguo inanitosha unataka nifanye aje?
Because you are fat.
Sasa ukiongelea mimi ati fat. Na Julie tutasemaje?
Kuja.
Did you get some pressure from your side? Now the thing is, where size you can't give engineer a child.
The pressure was from everywhere.
Okay.
But one thing, later on I got saved. I made up my mind that I wanted to serve the Lord and live a full life. With or without a child. When they wanted to take me for another operation, he told the doctor, I will live there like that. I don't want to go again for another operation. When I was putting pressure on him to marry.
You told him to marry?
I told him. The pressure, when the pressure was too high for me, I told him, please, can you marry so that I can have peace?
Are you a junior secondary school, a college, a TVET institution or a university and you want to advertise your intake? Book now and advertise with us today on both Lookuptv and all our digital platforms. Call us today on 011 0430 158, 011 0430 158 or email us on sales@lookuptv.co.ke.
Well, welcome back, and in case you're joining us, a very good morning to you. This is Lookuptv, and you're just in time for the morning drift. We are, set to begin our conversation this morning surrounding matters religion, and of course, what has been happening across the country. We do know that there's the issue of the Shakahola massacre that has been going on for some time now, and a lot has been happening. The president formed an inquiry commission to look into the matter to try and ensure that everything that happened is unraveled. And of course, as well, there's another task force that was formed by the president to look at the regulations and what needs to be done and make recommendations on matters religion in this country. There's been talks of churches being regulated in the country, and it has elicited mixed reactions from different fronts in the country. And of course, this particular morning I'll be joined by Mr. Daniel WESONGA, who is an apostle, by the way, to help us understand what is happening in terms of religion in the country and what is the way forward on all these matters. A very good morning to you, Apostle.
Good morning, Keitany.
Thank you very much for coming this morning.
You're welcome.
Now, Apostle,
yes.
Just to begin this conversation, to kickstart this particular conversation, when the president was talking about this issue, especially the Shakahola massacre,
yes,
he termed it as religious extremism.
Yes.
What is religious extremism?
Okay,
in your perspective as an apostle?
Religious extremism is a place where you throw things out of balance in terms of, we can talk about this the spirituality that is involved, then there's the balance with the natural existence, the construct of living, that it goes beyond even the basic sense. For instance, like the word of God is called the Logos, and the word Logos by itself is just the basic concept of Logos, means reason. So when it comes to the place of religious extremism, so that it cuts down short, the same thing that's supposed to prolong life eventually comes to a place now life is being shortened, and then there's the fundamental rights of personalities are taken away, the free will and such, and then maybe people are reduced to the animalistic kind of living. Then eventually you can call that religious extremism, that it quarantines people from the basic functionality of their existence there. So I think that is the basic just definition of religious extremism.
Now, there's also been, talks about this being a cult and Mackenzie being accused of, running a cult.
Yes.
Would you term this as a cult, or what would you refer to it as? Because it is not only shocking but saddening.
Yes, we'll still term it as a cult, but you see, if we are objective in terms of defining cult, the concept cult is just an addiction to a concept or a philosophy an ideology that you follow. So, and you see even in the Bible itself, even the very church in the entirety in the Bible is being spoken of by the society. It was being called a sect. Like somebody will join the church and they'll say, you've also followed that sect that preaches about Jesus Christ. So the concept of cult and such is that separation. There's political cults. You see, you have to be a cult to be actually a country. So we have to now come into the objectivity of like looking into the details. What exactly is this? Now, in this reality this cult now we can become now objective in terms of the corporate understanding of what the cult is. Now, this cult is in a place where people have been drawn from the coexistential realities. In other words, like you're trying to live another world inside this world that is not interrelated. So it means the life flow of the vein of corporate existence is taken away. So it means it now becomes a cult. So we'll still term it as a cult in terms of the societal understanding of what a cult is.
Now, it really, begs the question.
Yes.
Ever since, the bodies were discovered in Chakaola, came into light that Mackenzie has been running what we refer to as a cult.
Yes.
Despite the explanation that you've given us. Mm-hmm. What image does it paint? Because Mackenzie refers to his quote-unquote cult as a church.
Yes.
And when we talk about the church, when someone hears the term church, it will sort of think it's just a church like all these others.
Yeah, true.
How does it portray the church here in the country and matters of religion?
Yeah, it's saddening. It is something that is a bit sad, first of all, because people have lost their loved ones in that kind of a situation in terms of something that is a permitted people to congregate and such is the rights of every individual to have the mode of worship and such. And then such kind of thing, when it happens, it really awakens emotions in the society. Now, so the basic image, yes, it's something that one of the things is that we are not supposed to dissociate ourselves from the shame. Technically, most of the times when something happens, now he says it's the church and such, we cannot necessarily dissociate ourselves from the shame just by saying Mackenzie is not part of the church and such. We have to come to a place of literal acceptance of the shame of the things, because we can't fix it by just trying to cover image and such. Now, eventually begin to come into now the details. What exactly is the church? What are the provisions, for instance, that are in the church concept, and what are the open realities of what somebody is permitted? Because at the end of the day, eventually, the sanctity of the free will is still at play. Sometimes when the emotions are high, people talk of things like regulation of churches and such. But the question is, you cannot say it's not regulated, because these are fundamental rights, but the legal realities, because if there is able to marshal a prosecution against him, then it means it is still factored in the law. So it means somebody has broken the law. So it is something that, one, as a church, it paints the image of the church wrongly, and there is need of in the same church, people to be intellectually objectively come out to begin to paint the picture rightfully and to begin to describe and to explain what exactly is taking place. Because if we just try to dodge that because of the image that is coming up and then begin to appear to be as if we are ashamed and then dissociate ourselves, we will not be answering even to the people that are observing what is taking place. So it means the same personalities that are in the church, in the same church that people work and be able to sober up the same society. So because not everybody in the church is like, because if it was about the church and then it means the church should be clapping that Mackenzie is our hero and such, you see. But you see, the church is so much shocked. So it means technically these are things that are now underlying that needs a different kind of an angle to be very objective, to separate matters, to be able to tackle that case in its specificity.
Now, Apostle.
Yes.
It's good you've talked about regulation of churches.
Yes, yes.
When this matter was still fresh,
yes,
a couple of weeks ago, many men of God,
yes,
men of cloth,
yeah,
you call them that,
yeah,
including Archbishop Anthony Mueria,
yes,
of the Nyeri diocese.
Yes,
they talked about regulation of churches, their need, there being a need to regulate churches. Do you believe? In your own capacity, as an apostle, that we need to regulate churches? Because you do know that churches are self-regulatory. Do we need to have laws in place through maybe acts of parliament to ensure that churches are regulated to prevent such cases?
No, I don't believe in that because, first of all, there are many things that are involved. When you say regulate the churches, we are trying to talk of situations where you can curb such kind of cases coming up. You cannot say such kind of cases is not yet catered for in the law. You cannot say it's not yet legislated. You cannot say, for instance, that the government has not legislated robbery, for instance, but robbery still takes place today. Theft still takes place today. You cannot say it's not covered in the law. So you see, there's a complexity in terms of the human software, how it operates, vis-a-vis the laws. That's why there are laws in place so that the moment, and you see, for instance, even if you have a suspicion of somebody being extremist, you cannot pin them on that except they now come out to, so you cannot even deal with it in terms of the suspicion. Now, when we talk about regulation of churches, who exactly is going to regulate the church? Because when you say a man of God is coming, and it's like the man of God is trying to tell the government, please tell us who God is. So it means there's that deficiency in that. And most of the times when you see any person, like for instance in the dimension of being a man of God saying let us regulate churches, it means technically that person, to me I would say that person is an antichrist, because he's summoning persecution to the same church, because you cannot be aggravated in terms of the place of ideologies. It means, for instance, the thing that is happening here in this country, there's the part that the law is doing, there's the part the church is supposed to be doing, and it's totally different. You see, like for instance, the investigatory bodies, the DCI and such, they are doing their investigation. That is their role, and they have to do it that way. Because you see, I cannot come today, then I step into Shakahola, I say I'm an apostle, I want to get into this because it's a church, because the concept of the church is being implicated. That is not my zone. That is the part of the investigation body that is dealing with it. But question is this, that begs this, that the question that it begs out of this is this. As much as they are doing that, that ideology is already running around. For instance, if people have already been indoctrinated, question is, what is the interpretive interface of the people that have already been indoctrinated? You'll be surprised, somebody that's already indoctrinated is not being shocked by what is taking place and retreating. They're becoming more radicalized. That's how indoctrination takes place. So you see, an idea that's already launched out, you cannot deal with an idea by bombing it. You cannot jail an idea. Actually, the more you bomb an idea, the stronger it becomes. The more you try to jail it, you cannot jail an idea, you cannot bomb an idea. You see, so this thing that is taking place to become a cult, it means it's already an idea that's already looped in and consumed people's consciousness and their perceptions, such that to them that are in that particular kind of thing, that some of them may be shaken out of that because of the pressure of fear of being implicated, and so then they will come out of it. There are those who will be more radicalized, interpreting that as persecution. Now, when people are beginning to become very objective in tackling this matter, it means you become, for instance, let's assume now you are part of a Mackenzie congregant. You see, if I come to you hard on, there's a part that is coming against maybe that organization hard on, which means it is supposed to bring accountability in terms of the lives that have been lost. But I'm here also, I have an opportunity to change your ideology. I cannot come in the accusatory level. I come like a person that is understanding you and listening to you, because there's no way you can listen to me speak except, first of all, I listen to you. So it means it's an issue of influence, of shaping of ideologies. And that's the part where the church is supposed to come in. That's the part where the church is supposed to come in. Because if we feed something that is for the intellect to the emotions, then eventually we are missing it. We cannot feed food for the intellect to the emotions, and we cannot feed the intellect, the food for the emotions to the intellect. That's why you see, as much as there's this observable interface in terms of this Shakahola massacre that has taken place and such, the judges are not in the place of like the emotional, because they are experts, legal experts. You see them talking of issues of like, we're still taking investigations. You see the same. I think the first time when Mackenzie was in police custody, in the cells, the police were complaining that he's refusing to eat, and they were bringing him to the place of eating. That is not what the corporate or the masses will do. The masses will lynch this man. But you see, because these are legal experts, they understand. They are not in the frenzy of the emotionalism. They are very objective, intellectual, and discerning every matter. You'll be surprised, like, first of all, something like in part of the court process that normally take place in such kind of cases, you see somebody is taken to the hospital to be checked if they are mentally you see the judge saying, this person maybe has been involved in mass murder and such. Then the judge is saying, want this person to be investigated if he's mentally okay to stand trial. So you see, a lot of things that are underlying that is supposed to involve various kinds of faculties to really. So the regulation by itself is not going to happen. Even if you try to regulate, you'll be surprised. You'll just be brooding a time bomb that will explode in a way that will.
But Apostle,
yes,
if you say you don't really believe, churches being regulated, what do you think needs to be done? Because if at all we don't try and put measures in place to ensure that we try and prevent, at least try and prevent such cases from happening again, it might happen again. It might reoccur. And that will be the norm, sadly, maybe.
Yeah.
So what needs to be done, in your opinion?
There's a lot that needs to be done, but you need to understand this. As long as humanity is in place, as much as everything possible will be done, we are still up for surprises in future. That is something that you need to come to a place of understanding and settling with it, because the way the human psychology operates, for instance, let's say for instance this religious extremism, let's say for instance you say, let's regulate churches and let all the churches be Catholic. Let's say for instance, you can say there's the organization how the Catholic Church operates, so let everyone be Catholized. So it means you beat people into being Catholics, technically, then you say we have regulated churches because now it's being governed by the Catholic concept. Because Catholic is the church, is part of the church, isn't it? Now, being Catholic and saying under all these things, we are all Catholic, so we say now we are a bit now regulated, for instance, does it mean that these things won't mushroom within the same Catholic church, then eventually in future it will still become a Catholic scandal? It still stands to be an ideology that will begin to mushroom in every kind of place. So, one of the things, let's say for instance, like this Shakahola issue, how did it miss the public eye to that magnitude? Because you see, at the point of no case was being reported. Question: some of the cases that happens is this: how are you in the place, first of all, of fasting? You see somebody dying, and you're also in the queue to die, and see the next one dying. You know you're next, and you're still in that kind of place. Why was there no one that came out of that place and said there's something that's happening in the forest?
That begs me to ask you one question.
Yes.
From an expert point of view,
yes,
an expert in terms of you being an apostle,
yes.
What does the Bible say in regards to matters of fasting? Because there have been questions, people interpret it differently, but what does the Bible say from your point of view of an apostle?
Now, fasting is part of the practice of a spiritual process, but there are a lot of fundamental. You cannot negate the place of reason in the place of fasting. You can even tell just from the physical strength. You cannot be fasting in a place you're passing out and coming back into consciousness and you're still saying, I'm fasting. Even the body itself will tell you. Then there's you ought to understand how to do it, and this is the question. For instance, you're fasting for 2 days, you're saying you're going to meet God. This God who has not appeared on the first day, how are you expecting him to meet him at the 100th day? Because if he has not come in the first day, he won't come at 100 days. It's just basic logic and such. So, and another thing it would be, like if you're in the place of seeking God, there's first of all, the jurisdiction of where, like if for instance you're a man of God, if I'm an apostle, and I want more of God, I'll not relegate that to the congregants. I'm supposed to be the one, like now, to go in that place. So that it will be the question is like, I'm the one that is hungry for God. I want to present God to these people, so I'll be the one going, doing much of that lifting. And it is supposed to be something according to the level that somebody is at. You have to apply wisdom, you have to apply some part of natural understanding of how the body functions, to at least study how the body functions, how to transition the place of fasting, how to come out of the place of fasting. And some places, even sometimes if you say you're going to fast for a particular period of time and then you realize you're becoming weak, it is not sin to break out of that fast, you see. So it is a kind of a brainwashing that sometimes beats logic to really understand technically what is taking place in this shakahola kind of because people who are fasting to meet Jesus, at least, let's say for instance, if it was a truth, it is God who has said. By the time we see 5 people dying, we need to rethink. I cannot be there. This person came to see Jesus. He has not obtained the objective, and I'm still queuing at the same time, heading to the same kind of grave. So it still beats logic. And this thing, it tells you it's beyond just what is the observable dimension. It means there's something behind the scenes that is a force that now it cannot just be tackled by the basic kind of argument. Because every kind of person, you see, in this life, you can, sometimes people talk about just the cult concept or people being taken advantage of, all these kind of things. Any person that has grown past primary school, you realize life beats you and you have mastered to some degree to deal with life because you don't trust anyone or everyone and such kind of things. You have at least, you cannot say you're not been living in a society that has really trained you to become a bit sensitive and alert. You see, you're going to school, you're told, don't talk to strangers because you already know we are living in a society that has got a lot of loopholes. So to come to a place where somebody has, in a place of living in this society and there's have senses to some degree, to be led in that kind of a slaughter, it tells you there's something more that beats just the natural reasoning.
Apostle, let me take you back to the law because the president formed a task force.
Yes.
And we have men of God, men of cloth in that particular task force. There's a former Reverend Mutava Misimi, there's Bishop Makariuki.
Yes.
They're tasked with proposing legal and governance changes to curb religious extremism. From your perspective, from your point of view, do you think from the recommendations, because they'll have to look into the matter, and not only that, because there's also a case in Nakuru where a 31-year-old pastor also was holding people. Most of them, by the way, were kids. 17 of the people who were rescued were kids, more than half the number. This particular task force, they are men of cloth, like you said. And some of them might be rooting for, the regulation of churches, which is, a matter that is still pending. Do you think it is in order to, first of all, have these people look into the legal changes and governance of matters of religion? And will it help in trying to curb matters of religious extremism, like the president calls it?
Yes. You see, because now the president cannot not just sit back and say, we can't do anything, this religion and such. It means there's that place that, and you see, when he says he's involving the men of the cloth, it means he's recognizing, because when you talk about the law, it means there's the society because the law is not the law without the society that is governing. So it means, if it's about the church, it means he's involving the men of the cloth in that. And to me, I feel still there will be some parts that will help in terms of when they look into the matter, how do we curb religious extremism and such. So it means now there will be the educating of the masses. For instance, like when we talked about this thing and said it's an ideology, isn't it? And the only way to curb an ideology is to counter it with another idea. It means you have to utilize the same realm to influence different ideologies. That's why people go to church. You see, for instance, when somebody says they are able to discern, when something is cultic and not to be drawn into extremism, it means they have been trained, they have been sensitized. It means they are a particular kind of ideology that is influencing the interface of the observing and negotiating with every interface of ideology that is coming in place. So it means it will come to a place where people can now have a conversation.
Did you get some pressure from your side? Now the thing is, where size you can't give engineer a child.
The pressure was from everywhere.
Okay.
But one thing, later on I got saved. I made up my mind that I wanted to serve the Lord and live a full life. With or without a child. When they wanted to take me for another operation, he told the doctor, we live there like that. I don't want to go again for another operation. When I was putting pressure on him to marry.
You told him to marry?
I told him. The pressure, when the pressure was too high for me, I told him, please, can you marry so that I can have peace?